The watchmaking industry is like any other industry that operates where brands and companies operate with the corporate growth, profit making and shareholder pleasing in mind. But that's a pretty basic explanation for the increase in watch prices on the open market that we're all seeing at the moment, with certain watches trading 10%, 20, 30% higher than their listed price and some even doubling. The value of stock on the secondary market is up. Well-known auction houses are constantly setting records for sought-after pre-owned watches, and it seems like every man on the street is now a watch dealer. But is this good or bad for the watch industry? What does it all mean? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's talk about it. I'm Marcelo from Prestige Watches, and my passion is helping watch enthusiasts make and save money with their watch goals. I like sparing people hassles and headaches and saving their valuable time when it comes to buying and selling their watches. My mission is to share my knowledge, provoke thought and guide watch lovers through the different processes, helping avoid the pitfalls and the perils in buying and selling watches, which can be fun and enjoyable, but there are also risks. Now, over the last few years, supply has been far outstripped by demand and very lengthy waiting lists are forming for the world's favourite watches. Furthermore, auctioneers and grey market dealers find their customers increasingly willing to pay a premium to gain immediate access to rare or sought-after watches. This is also knocking onto the pre-owned and vintage watch marketplace. This is simply the cause and effect of supply and demand, which we see in many other commodity-based luxury industries like art, real estate, classic cars, trainers' handbags and antiques. With the watchmaking industry being labour intensive and focused on high quality, high-end watchmakers cannot react quickly to demand, and this perpetuates in waiting lists on the primary market. It's alleged that a Rolex watch takes approximately a year to make, so today's demand will be satisfied by last year's production. This is already maxed out and Rolex is unable to increase at a rate fast enough to alleviate the situation. This demand typically marks the beginning of a positive feedback loop where waiting lists produce premiums on the secondary market. With watch premiums, and that is people paying over retail list price, customers of authorised dealers are likely to join the waiting list to gain access to a watch at its retail price so that they can flip it, sell it for a profit. That is quite typical profit-driven, business-minded behaviour that most private individuals would find hard to resist. After all, who could resist making a quick and easy £500 or £1,000 or even more, especially in these mid-pandemic times? Rolex and other luxury watch brands' price increase seems to be acceptable for sellers, investors and professionals, but not so good for buyers who genuinely want to get their hands on a new Rolex at list price quickly for their own personal use. And that's a lot of people. The luxury watch marketplace is reported to be worth in the region of $20 billion and looking to rise over the coming years. And the pre-owned luxury watch marketplace is only a few $1 billion lower than the primary market. But is this cause and effect driven by consumers the watch industry's fault? The last few years of highly favourable market conditions have enabled the majority of watch owners to see their timepieces appreciate, even with the pandemic. Luxury watch brands including Rolex and many others, including small independent watchmakers, are experiencing record primary market sales and increasing value on the secondary market. And this ultimately drives the investment aspect of watchmaking, growing the market and enabling brands to innovate further. So for many people, the current high prices in watches on the secondary market are not detrimental to the watch industry. Ultimately, the free market is its own beast and brands can't tame it, and wherever there is a supply-demand shortage environment in any sector, industry or vertical, it will form business opportunities, and anyone with an entrepreneurial spirit will look to capitalise on it, whether on a large scale like a giant business conglomerate, the Richemont Group and their recent acquisition of Watchfinder, or Chrono24 with their recent $118 million Series C funding round investment, Hodinkee with their purchase of Crown & Caliber and their $40 million investment announcement, eBay with their recent authenticity guarantee implementation on watches sold over £2,000. Big things are happening for the big boys. And even on a smaller scale, with lots of small businesses popping up in the watch industry, YouTube influencers are gaining online presence and doing paid partnerships with brands and seller marketplaces. And in today's world, becoming a content creator and YouTuber is considered a proper job, with people looking to do it straight out of school or college and even at a younger age. And why not? With successful YouTube millionaires being created all around the world, it's reported that YouTube now has 2.3 billion active monthly users. That's over a quarter of the world's population. And the YouTube creator economy is noted as being one of the fastest growing small business types. So being a YouTube entrepreneur is real. And YouTube's creative ecosystem in 2020 supported nearly 400,000 full-time equivalent jobs in the US alone. And the total contribution of YouTube's creative ecosystem to the US GDP in 2020 was $20.5 billion. That's a staggering amount. Going off piste here a bit, I know, but the opportunities for people and businesses in the watch industry and the watch community, they're strong at the moment. But what can the watch industry do about the increasing prices? We hear that the leading watchmakers are trying to alleviate the situation, actively trying to maximise production and prevent flipping from taking place. Some brands are producing more limited edition models to capitalise on the situation in the interim, but they don't actively perpetuate the market's overreaching conditions. We hear stories about authorised dealers implementing a 3 watch per household system, and Rolex have increased production year on year. Audemars Piguet is creating a database that pairs customers to serial numbers to hopefully prevent flipping, and others are implementing similar reactionary systems too. And then of course there's the big question of when Rolex and Tudor will increase the prices of their watches, further pushing prices up. Rolex watches and many other luxury watch brands are investments, and investing in watches is a great way to make money, especially if you have money already just sitting in a savings account. Since the 70s, the price of stainless steel Rolex has never depreciated, ever. And that's because the demand for specific watches, current and discontinued, far exceed the rate of production and availability. And this is one of the main reasons why luxury watches are so expensive, because scarcity always creates value. And it's got to a point where specific models have 4, 5, even 6-year waiting lists if you try to buy them new directly from an authorised dealer. So the solution for people who want this watch sooner is to pay a premium to fast track the process. Then Rolex sees the prices going up on the market and they will increase their own list prices to follow the rise. And this is why the prices continue to rise and rise, because the market determines the rate. So what about you? What do you think about the rising pricing of Rolex and other watch brands? Would you pay a premium, or would you just wait, or would you look for another watch? Do you have any experiences you can share? Honestly, I'd love to hear from you. Please let me know in the comments. And thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I love this watch community that we're all in, and I love being part of it. If you got any value from this, please like it by hitting the thumbs up button. And if you want to watch more industry and business related videos, please subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any weekly tips. I'm trying to upload weekly at the moment. And of course, if you have any comments or requests for me to cover other topics, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Oh, head over to my website and see what watches I have for sale there. I've just uploaded 4 or 5 new watches. And there's a great free download there too, a watch collector's guide to buying and selling luxury watches. Head over there and download it. It's full of useful tips. Cheers, and see you on the next one.